Hey everybody, you're watching Cadwell Hunter, and I've got a couple tubes of brilliant uncirculated Jefferson nickels to add to my collection. And I finally have a more fitting home to add them to. We're going to take care of that right now. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, this is James and you're watching my channel Cadwell Hunter. Recently, one of my subscribers, Greg, initiated a trade with me, an epic trade with a bunch of Lincoln wheat cents, Lincoln Memorial cents, and a couple of tubes of Jefferson nickels. And I needed a better home for my nickels. You've probably seen in my channel before, if you've watched my videos, that typically I keep my coins in these 2x2 flips, in these coin pages, in a binder. And some of you have felt that this is not a really good fitting home for these coins. And I like the 2x2 flips, but I kind of agree. And so I finally broke down and picked up a set of Whitman albums for my Jefferson nickels. There's 2 volumes here. They're in the plastic. I just got them in the mail. I'm very excited. One is 1938 to 2003 with all the P, D, and S minted nickels. The second one is 2004 to date. It's PDS and the W West Point mints. So this is really great. And I've got a couple of tubes of what I think are brilliant uncirculated nickels that Greg has sent me, plus some errors and varieties. And if you watched the penny video that I already released, he sent all sorts of brilliant uncirculated red cents and some really cool errors and varieties that I've added to my collection. Part of that video, I looked at some more modern cents, and these ones here, I didn't have a fitting home for them, so I didn't really do anything with them, but I also got a Lincoln cent album starting 1996, so we can get those in there first. But we're going to start with the nickels, and I think what I'm going to do is start with the nickels that Greg sent me in this trade. I don't know what's in here. As I said in my last video, he just sent me an email, showed me a picture of the package ready to go, and said, here's our next trade. So he has sent an itemized list with it. So I've got the information, but I haven't looked at the nickels yet, haven't looked at the nickels on the list yet, except to take a glance to see that there were some errors and varieties. So I know that's that. But we're going to get these in here. So I think these ones are probably going to be better than what I've already got in my collection. I've just got some lower grade examples for a lot of the nickels that I've found coin roll hunting here in Canada, as well as some beautiful ones. I've got some silver war nickels here that Greg sent me in an earlier trade, probably a year or two ago. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to get these ones in here first. Then I think what we're going to do is fill up the spaces that are left with the nickels that I have in my collection. And you can see there's lots of holes in my collection, so that I'm not putting in some bad examples that I'm going to replace with other ones. So we'll start with these guys here, then we'll add to that, and we'll see how these albums look. I'm going to get these sorted first, and we'll look at what he sent, and then we'll get them in the album. So I've just opened up this first tube and just got them out in piles. I'm going to start to arrange them here for us to look at together, but I had to bring you in to take a peek at this one here. Look at this. This is an 85-year-old 1939 Jefferson nickel, and it is in beautiful shape. It is just gleaming. And I said there were brilliant uncirculated nickels in here, and I was really thinking the more modern ones for sure. But that is a gorgeous 1939 Philadelphia nickel. Stunning. So I have most of these nickels laid out on the table here. These are all of the ones from 1939 all the way to 1999. There's still a stack here of the newer ones I haven't gone through. These ones will mostly go in the newer album. A few will go up to 2003. And you've already seen this gorgeous 1939, and they all are in beautiful shape like that. The next one here, we've got a 1940, and look at all of the detail on that. Just gorgeous, lots of luster. Carrying on, we've got a 46P and D, a 47P. Into the 50s, there's a 1954. That's a San Francisco. Then we've got a 56P, 57D, 58P and D, 59P and D. Starting over into the 60s, Philadelphia and Denver. We've got a 62, and this is the only one that doesn't look flawless. We'll come back to that one. You might notice some interesting things about that one. We got 63, 64, 65, 66. You know that, of course, some of these years they didn't have mint marks, even for the Denver minted coins, because they were trying to stop a run on coins. There was significant interest in pulling different coins out because of the hike in the price of silver. They just took the mint marks off of all of the coins in those mid to late 60s years. They started again later. We've got here a 68 P&D and a 69 Philadelphia. And then carrying on all into the 70s, that is a 70D. Look at how brilliant these are. That's a 72, 76, 77, 78, 79, into the 80s. Just brilliant, really good strikes, lots of detail. These just carry on through the 80s. Into the 90s. Most of these ones in the later years are Philadelphia minted. Part of the reason for that, I think, is because Greg himself is in New Jersey, and he is going to get lots of P minted nickels just in his coin roll hunts, and he is a prolific coin roll hunter. So the next thing I'm going to do is get all of these into this album right here. We'll take a quick peek at that. Then we'll move on to this another stack here, this another stack, as I say. So these are a nice snug fit in the album, which is great because it means they're not going to be rolling around. I'm not going to open them up and find they're upside down or anything, but I am using some gloves to push them into the slots here because they are quite snug. I've got to actually apply pressure right on the face of the coin to get it in there, but I don't want to get fingerprints or mess up the surface of these coins because they are gorgeous. So I've got this first batch in here and they look really nice in this album. I'm actually really glad that I got this upgrade for my binder to put these in. Lots of spaces here to go. I have some of the ones that are missing in here. Greg just sent me ones from a list I'd sent him some time ago that I told him that I didn't have. So once I've got mine in here too, these are going to look pretty fantastic. And the coins that are in here look great. Now, the one that I didn't put in was the 1962 that is right here, and I'll show you why. Let's take a closer look at this coin. So this 1962, it's a Denver minted nickel. You can see the D mint mark to the right of Monticello. And you can also see that this is pretty heavily circulated, unlike all of the other coins that Greg sent me. When I flip it over, you can see though what's happening is that this is a mint error. There was a planchet issue with this coin. When it was struck, it couldn't get the full design across the face of Jefferson on the obverse here. Let's get even closer still and have a good look at the surface of this coin to see what's happening. So here we are pretty close up, and you can see there are lots of flaws with this planchet. There are some deep caverns here on Jefferson's face, even in the field here in behind the where the T is in trust. So there are already some cavities in here. If I slide it up a little bit, it kind of continues on, sort of like two lines of it here. So I'm not sure what might have happened if this sheet was damaged as it was before it was punched, but when it was struck, it couldn't get the full design on there. So definitely a mint error, some kind of a planchet issue. Kind of looks like he has his skull cracked open. Pretty interesting. So I'm going to flip this one up and label it as an error because that's really cool. I don't think Greg will be worried that I didn't put this in the binder. I probably have a better 1962 in terms of condition, but this is a really cool variety or mint error. And Greg is a prolific coin roll hunter. I've said that before. So he looks through a lot of coins and he's found a lot of errors. In my last video, if you haven't seen that yet, he said a bunch of penny errors that I added to my collection. And this is really cool too. We have a few more coins to go here for this one, and I think there are a couple of varieties in here too. So let's spread these out. We'll take a look. We'll get them in the album too. So I've laid out all the rest of them here from 2000 and on, and I don't think I have any of these more recent 2020, 21, 22, 23. We've got both the P and the D there. I'll get these all into the book, but there are a couple over here I want to draw your attention to that are a couple of die varieties. I'm not going to put them in the book. I'm going to flip them up like my 1962 Denver with the planchet issue. We'll take a closer look at both of these. This first one here is a 2010 Philadelphia. When I flip it over, what we're going to see here is that there's a pretty significant die crack on the reverse. You can see it right from the rim over here into Monticello, almost to the center column here. So that's pretty significant. That's pretty cool. That's a 2010 Denver with this die crack running right to the rim. The other one, when I put it up, this one here is a 2020 Philadelphia. When I flip it over, it has a pretty significant die chip on the side of Monticello. Right there, this is called the Bee's Nest, and I think there are versions where this progressively gets worse and worse as this chip continued to get bigger in the die. This is pretty significant. It protrudes pretty significantly from the side of the building, so that's awesome. So Greg, thank you for sending me a couple of varieties. It takes a pretty keen eye to see these as you're looking through a large volume of coins, and when you find them, you want to pull them aside, of course, and thank you for sharing these ones with me. I appreciate it. I just noticed something curious as I'm filling up this second album here. When I flip to the second page, you'll see there's a spot for the 2012 P, but the 2013 doesn't have the P designation there. It doesn't show the mint mark on the slot, but it certainly has one on the coin itself. The same goes for the 14, 15, 16, 17, but then in 18, they start putting the P there again, and that carries through the rest of the way. So I don't know if that was just an oversight or an error, or maybe they've never noticed. I'm assuming that they print these pages fairly regularly. They've been printing this for a while. This book goes till, it shows till 2025, and then the slots are blank, and there's only 3 pages in here, so you could put more in at any point in time. And I think one of the other ones that I have holds 7 pages, so somebody could be using this for a very long time, probably well beyond I'm gone. But I thought that was very strange. Let me know if you've got one of these Whitman folders or albums, if it does the same thing, or if you've got one where the mint mark is actually on there. Just a strange curiosity. I've gone ahead and filled up this album here with all of those gleaming red cents that Greg sent me, 1996 and on, and this album looks awesome. In fact, it's pretty complete. Of all of the P and D minted cents from 1996 on to 2022, there's only 4, and they're all deminted cents that I think are harder for Greg to come by that weren't included in that trade. And I have 3 of them in my own collection that I found coin roll hunting. This one's pretty nice, the 2011, the 2012 and the 2007. They could be better. That's going to give me something to work on. There's just one that I won't have, and it's the 2010D. So that's what I'm going to have to keep my eyes open for. Upgrades for these and that 2010D to fill that spot. And you never know if I'm going to get an S-minted proof in my coin roll hunts in Canada. I guess anything is possible, but this album here looks fantastic, and the cents are just gleaming. In fact, I'm going to pull out the other album and just take a quick peek at the copper cents that Greg had sent me. They were fantastic. So here's that 1909 to 1995 album that I've filled up with a combination of the cents that I got from Greg, that I got from Nicole, and that I had in my own collection earlier. And this album looks fantastic. Right from that 1909 VDB that I got from the trade with Nicole. A whole bunch of spots in the teens and the 20s filled up here. Just gorgeous. And then starting with a red cent in the 30s. Look at that 37D. And then in through the 40s, they just get phenomenal. There's a gorgeous 1947. Nice red cent. But as we get further into the 50s, they're starting to look phenomenal. I still got to look out for that 55 double die obverse. But once you're into the 60s, these are fantastic. There are some that I had in my own collection that I'll need to upgrade for sure. But this album is looking phenomenal. So all I've got left to do with these nickels is to get any of the nickels that I have in my binder here that aren't already represented in the album over here. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, I have liberated a whole bunch of coins from my 2x2 flips in the binder, and the garbage pail over here is overflowing with all the coins that I've transferred in. So this album is looking pretty good. I've got a lot of the P and D and the S mints before the S's were proofs. I'm going to have a lot of holes in here where the proofs are. However, I got one that I can add right here that I'll show you is that I do have one proof nickel, a 1971 S proof. That's pretty awesome. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to fill up this slot for the proof coin. I think it's the only proof in the entire book that I have, but that is great progress. I've got a lot of work to do on the proofs, and you can see here's a 1974. This would have come from my collection. This is not in great shape, so I have a lot of upgrading to do. So I'm still going to have fun doing my coin roll hunts, looking for potential upgrades when I find US nickels. So there's that 71S proof looking good in my new album. This looks pretty awesome. Lots of great spots filled here. Still some work and some upgrades to do. There's still a good number of spots here in the 40s, so, and in the early 50s for sure. So there's definitely some work. In a previous trade with Greg, I got a lot of these silver alloy, the 35% silver wartime nickels. So we've got some great spots. I've got there's some key dates here that I still have yet to fill. And I'm going to have fun working on this album. But this is looking great. So a huge thanks to Greg for this trade. I still have a few things to go here. And I think this video is getting very long. So we'll come back. We'll do a third installment. I've got a roll of dimes and a roll of quarters. And in the quarters particularly, I know there's a whole bunch of errors and varieties that'll be fun to go through. So I don't want to rush through that right now. We'll take our time and look at it another time. And this 2006 proof set. I mentioned this in the last trade video. There's a story behind this. If you've seen one of my previous trades with Greg, he sent me one of these previously, but he sent me the wrong one. It is this set. We'll come back to that. We'll have to look at that in the next video. Well, I hope you enjoyed this album fill from trading from the Garden State in New Jersey from Greg. I really appreciate, Greg, that you sent this out to me. I'm going to have a lot of fun going through the rest of these coins when we get to them, as well as going through my own duplicates to see what coins I can trade you to send back on my half of the trade. And hopefully you'll have as much fun as I'm having right now. Well, thank you so much to everyone for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, CAD Roll Hunter, please go ahead and do that. You've watched the video this far already, so I think you'll enjoy the rest of my content. Again, thank you so much for watching. Give the video a like. That's really helpful. I always appreciate you watching my videos. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time. The sponsors of today's video are Lighthouse Canada and the Charlton Press. Lighthouse Canada is the leading supplier of high-quality numismatic supplies in Canada, and the Charlton Press is the leading publisher of coin and paper money catalogs and price guides for Canadian collectors. Go check out their online stores today and use the exclusive discount code CRH20 for 20% off all your purchases.